Hello and welcome to another episode of ZED Talks, Leaguecast Fixes Champions. This week we'll be talking about Zach, Zed, Zilean, Ziggs, Zoe, and Zyra. Joining me this week is just Nick the King Cooper.
Hello. The penultimate episode.
You like how I switched to the characters around in their order because I just can't read lines properly?
Oh, I didn't even catch it.
But either way, we'll hop right into it with Zachary.
We'll jump right into it. Elastic slingshot right into it.
Good one, man.
Thank you. I actually feel like the character is pretty good with the ult revert. I was kind of a big fan of the old ultimate. I guess the new old ultimate. The one where he became a blob and sucked up everybody. But I can understand how other people who actually play Zach enjoy the bounce around one. I think he's in a really good spot. He kind of thrives when tanks are strong. And I actually think that AP Zach is a little like hidden OP if you're able to survive early. The character's absolutely nutty. I don't know
Top
what his
Zach's really good right now.
Yeah, with Sunfire, right? And you just out trade everyone pretty much. So
he's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the character's in a really good spot. Is there anything that you would like to change about him?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had three characters. I was telling Nick before the episode started that I had three characters that I had ideas for, and three characters I didn't really give a fuck about. Surprisingly, Zach is one of the characters that I had an idea for.
Interesting.
And my idea's a little bit wild. So my idea is I want Zach to have an ultimate that you hit your ultimate button, and then you have three options for what you do with that ultimate. Because he's a fucking blob man. I think as a blob man, he should be able to have do whatever he wants. In theory, he should be able to go inside people and explode them. Kind of like what was that meme? Fucking the Ant-Man meme, from Infinity War. Yeah. So my idea is that Zach has three ultimate options. This is the only thing I've changed about him. Is he has three ultimate options. So you click R, then you can choose Q, W, or E as your ultimate choice. His Q is the old you pick them up and throw them somewhere, like a slingshot type thing. His W is his current one, where it's the bouncy, and then his E, this one's he kind of just goos himself. So his passive where he explodes and then you have little bloblets. He does that, but instead of having bloblets where you can hit him and kill him, he kind of just goos himself and disappears from the map and leaves a fucking big puddle where characters are stunned, and it slowly recedes back into the middle where he comes back to being a character again.
It kind of sounds like a Vladimir pool mixed with his current passive.
Yeah. So it's like a stun, right? All the way out. So it's like a Moo size stun, but the characters on the outside are stunned less because they're good for less time, obviously. And the characters who are closer to him are stunned for the full 2.5 seconds or whatever. I think that's such a fucking fun way of doing a stun, because you can't just catch people with fucking cringe outer max range bullshit. But it also is kind of powerful, and I think on a similar level to the other two. Obviously his Q one would be very strong because it's the kidnap. His W one I think is just overall a good use ability, and then his E is a weird team fight thing where you take yourself out of the fight but you hit a massive stun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I just like the idea of having options, and I feel like a character like Zach, where he literally is a blob man that could, in theory, make himself in anything, him having options would be so fucking perfect for his kit, I think.
Yeah, I think that's you touched on a really good point of his flexibility and versatility isn't really expressed on in his current kit, and maybe that's something to do. I like it. I like that idea a lot, actually. I'm down. It's going to be a nightmare to balance, but
I mean, yeah, some of them are just going to be stronger than the other ones, but I just think that more characters could use more interactions, and I feel like Zach is just the perfect character to try something like that out on.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not too much to it. That's kind of just my idea. I would love if community members had any other ideas, maybe give him fucking 7 more ultimates, so he has 10 ultimates that he can choose from.
Wow.
Or have you played new TFT?
I have not played new TFT.
So in TFT, there's mutants. Actually, Zach's not a mutant, so this isn't a good example. But is he a mutant? He might be. Either way, there's mutant trait, which has an effect where if you have like mutants active, they do whatever, right? But the mutant trait in TFT for the entire game changes every single game, and there's like a pool of 20 that it pulls from. What if Zach's ultimate, his 3 ultimate choices, are from a pool in every single game your ultimate choices change?
What about just every single ult?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that'd be hard. I don't know. I like the idea, but I don't know how if it would be good or not.
Awful for balance, but like I just think there's so much stuff you can do in League to make shit interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
And the main cool thing about the Zach one, I think, like at least my current 3 ultimates, is that all of them have the same like threat range. It's not like one of them is like a fucking cross the map rocket or whatever. They're all just like, if you're within X range of Zach, you're probably gonna get hit by one of his ultimates.
Yeah.
It's just the effect is different, I think.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's just something I thought about a little bit. There's really not too much to talk about other than that, because I think his base kit is pretty fucking well designed. Like his W is boring as shit, but it's needed for clearing and stuff like that. But I like Zach as a character. I just think he needs to be a little bit more interesting than like his old kidnap ult was way more interesting. I think way worse for the game, but way more interesting than fucking bounce 3 times.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe that's unpopular amongst actual Zach players, but yeah, that's what I feel as well.
Yeah, it just feels like you had a fucking really cool, and you went back to a boring ult. But
yeah,
cool,
awesome. Who's next?
Next is Zed.
Ooh, hot take. I think Zed is like one of the most well-designed characters in the game.
Yeah, Zed's one of the ones that I originally kind of was trying to think of some stuff for, because I'm like, Zed, there's so many things you can probably do with him. I fucking love current Zed.
Yeah, we've definitely gone through a couple changes that are definitely put him in a healthier state. Like he used to gain percent bonus attack damage from his W just passively, and I think it was up to 25%. And then he used to steal. I think when they removed that, he used to steal AD from the target he killed.
The highest AD target he killed would give him AD.
Like 25% of their AD would be added to Zed. So it wouldn't like steal it or anything. But
there was like a Jhin in the game. You'd just get like a fucking 150 AD from killing a Jhin.
It was like the hardest counter pick in the game.
Yeah. The main thing I was thinking of, which I think all these issues have been fixed, was Zed used to be so fucking clunky with the shadows when they made the changes, like the lockout times. But ever since they like changed it so that his ult still has a little bit of a lockout time, I think, but his W doesn't have any lockout time.
Yeah, I think the ult scales down lockout time as well.
It scales
like
down, and there's no cast range anymore. Like you're not limited by cast range. You can cast it like the pop back, that is, at any range. Like he feels so fucking clean to play. I played a couple games of him like a month or so ago, just for like shits and giggles, and holy shit, man, he feels cool to play. He's also OP right now, which probably makes him feel a bit better, but
I think lethality is a little strong right now anyway. But that's just a little balance thing, I suppose. He's one of my favorite characters from a design perspective. I think like having he very much feels like what they want like Vex to be, where like very reliant on the shadow and things like that, whereas like Zed is the epitome of that in design. I think very cool.
Cool.
I think he's I mean I just think he's got enough counters to he's going to be a frustrating champion forever. But he's also probably the character that gets cucked the most by Zonias in the game.
For sure. Yeah, it actually just completely breaks him.
Awesome.
Cool. Next is Ziggs, who is a character that I couldn't think of a fucking thing to change personally.
Can I make the very first change? Boy, don't make his mines last for 8 seconds, 10 seconds?
10.
Like
10,
it's absolutely insane. Because
Sorry, I was just going to say the amount of games at like a master tier level, someone will throw like a minefield down and my entire team will just stand there and wait. And then about 7 seconds into the wait time go, oh shit, I guess we have to go through this. And then we slowly walk through it.
and you're taking a ton of damage because they deal a lot of damage. It's one of those things where it either has to do less damage. Maybe the first one can deal the same amount of damage, but the like subsequent hits need to deal much, much less.
For sure.
But it doesn't feel like that's the way it works currently. It feels like it lasts forever and you can't walk through it because it does too much damage.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of counterplay. Like I think Ziggs in general should be a high damage, like very hard to play character. Like all of his abilities are hard skill shots. But holy fuck, man, his zoning shouldn't be the OP part of his kit. It's like when Vigar was OP with Glacial Augment, how Cage was his best ability. Like we all understand Cage is OP. Cage has always been OP, but it shouldn't be Vigar's best fucking ability.
Yeah.
Vigar's best ability should be one-hitting people. Like
Yeah, and that's definitely something that is frustrating about Ziggs, where he has very strong abilities otherwise, but it's just one of those things that are even more frustrating than they should be, for no particular reason at all. I don't think removing that particular aspect of his kit is going to make him any more or less fun to play, but it does make him much less frustrating to play against, which I think is really, really cool. I personally really like his identity as a siege mage. Basically, he just shits on turrets like hard. And deals a ton of damage, like AoE damage from range, but really has no true escape outside of a lucky W if you're able to get on top of him. I think he's a really, I think he's a well-designed character as well. Z character's kind of coming in strong, I'll say.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely insane.
We'll definitely get to some characters we'll talk about.
The next one's Zilean, man. And Zilean is a fucking nightmare child, I think.
Yeah, I have been preaching this for a very long time, that Zilean Ultimate is probably the best ability in the game. Like just baseline. I think it instantly offers you 1 for 0 in most scenarios at bare minimum. It's very, very difficult to use it improperly if it goes off. And maybe that's a big if in some games. But it's not too hard to get a good ulti off. And then you just given them, a free GA that revives them with much more health, and is on a 25-second cooldown at max rank.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think there's tons of things wrong with Zilean. The fact that I'm assuming he's the only like character in the game that has 1 damage ability.
Yeah, I think now that
there's no
yeah, like 1 damaging basic ability. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is insane to me. Like, it turns out it's hard to balance a character when that's the case.
Yeah.
So here's my idea, Nick. And Riot has talked about this not working in the past for a character, that character being Echo. I think they reworked Zilean and they base him around the idea that his ultimate rewinds time X amount of seconds for the enemy team.
Okay, so what would that entail? Like what does that mean?
It reverts all damage that they did in the last couple seconds, reverts their position for the last couple seconds, reverts their HP for the last couple seconds. It only affects the enemy team, though.
Interesting. I think... So my initial thought is, wow, that's bad. I don't like that. But I kind of do. Maybe even we even tone it down and make it so something like it only works on 1 character.
Yeah.
So instead of maybe it only works like beneficially for your ally if you're able to instead of a revive, you can send them back in time, revert their position, revert the damage they take, revert their cooldowns, maybe except for ultimate cooldown, to sort of keep it in line with this current ultimate, but also lean into what you were talking about.
It'd be cool if you could do it for, like, I guess any character. Yeah, it's single target, but it's for any character in the game, meaning you can revive an ally corpse if you get to them in 3 seconds or whatever. Like, let's just say it's a 3-second rewind. Or you can rewind an enemy to, like, if you target them with it, they're going back to their position 3 seconds ago with their health 3 seconds ago, with all the damage they did to a character 3 seconds ago, whatever. I feel like that would be really cool. We know the technology almost works, and the fact that Echo ult works similarly.
Yeah.
There's definitely lots of changes to it, and I think League's held up by a lot of like behind the scenes like
definitely.
strings and shit. But holy fuck, how cool would it be if he actually manipulated time instead of just like having a boring revive that's on a 30-second cooldown late game?
Yeah, I agree that his ultimate is definitely my least favorite part of his kit, and something that I would like to see changed. And I think that's a really, really cool way to do it. I think it should probably remain single target, unless it affected.
You don't like the?
I think unless it affected every champion on the map. Like, it was a global and Zilean just reround time for everyone. I think that would be cool, but maybe that's a little bit too far.
Yeah. So my whole thing with the global thing is that I think my favorite part of the idea of rewinding someone is the positional part of it.
Yeah.
Where let's just say someone alt jumps away, alt flashes away, and then you rewind them and they're back in the same spot with their fucking alt and flash back up. But like you now know what they're trying to do as their escape, right?
Yeah.
So they have to make either a new plan or they go for the same plan, knowing that you now know what they can do. Which I think that the part of it's so fucking interesting.
Yeah, I think that's
Right?
really cool
Like-
as well. The positioning aspect of it.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite part of like it. I think the fact that like, yeah, you got them in the same spot, but if you don't capitalize on the exact thing they just did, then you're going to end up in the same scenario, right? So like the power of the ability really comes from like the outplay potential you have from now knowing what your opponent's original actions were.
Yeah, it could be really cool as like a support for other lanes where your top laner gets ganked and then you rewind time and suddenly, I know the
Yeah, they're
top
still in the
laner's
same
there.
position with a jungler there, but now they know the jungler's coming from there. So how are they going to change their idea, right?
Yeah, and that sounds really, really strong, but we have to remember it's an ultimate ability. It's supposed to be strong.
It's also something that, like, in theory, you could the enemy team could like learn from it as well, right? Like, yeah, I just Yon ulted away over a wall, and then they rewinded it, and my Yon ult's back up. Now they think that I'm gonna Yon ult away. I can turn on them and Yon ult them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I think
you know what I mean. Like, it's so fucking interesting.
it is really interesting. It opens up a lot of options in different timelines, so to speak.
The reality is that 99% of the time it's just used as like a fucking gross hard CC.
Oh yeah.
But I just think potential of stuff like that is so interesting to me.
I agree. Yeah. I like that. I like that. As for his other abilities, I mean, I'm fine with his bombs and the rewind that he has on his W. I don't necessarily like that he can slow enemies by 99%. But
That's crazy.
I don't know what else to... I don't know how else to do it. Maybe it applies like a debuff, and at the end of the debuff, like... Oh, okay. Maybe it applies a debuff that prevents a unit from taking damage, but at the end of the debuff, it applies like all the damage taken. Maybe it's reduced on an ally and increased on an enemy. But I mean, they're essentially invulnerable during that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That'd be really cool.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, another time-based thing. But yeah, I mean the big Zilean problem is his ultimate, and I'm sad Colton's not here to correct us on it.
Yeah. I just think there's so much stuff you can do with like time manipulation that obviously it has to function in the game. Like I don't expect Riot to actually be able to make it work, but if it could, like in this theory crafting environment, then I think there's like endless possibilities.
Definitely. Let's just
Cool.
make him ruin jungle, where if you pick him, jungle timers don't work.
Yeah, stuff doesn't respawn anymore. Cool. Next is Zoe, who is a character I personally don't have any gripes with. That being said, I know people who play Zoe. I've always enjoyed playing Zoe, but I think she functions well ever since they made the changes to the items she can get early game from her W. I think still she probably shouldn't be able to get stuff that isn't in the game. Like, you shouldn't be able to get Azonias until someone's built Azonias. You shouldn't be able to get heal if no one in the game has a heal. Like stuff like that, you know what I mean? But like overall, I think she's become a really interesting character to watch and play.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think I didn't have a lot of problems with her at any point in League. I think she's always had a spot and kind of, I don't know, belongs, unlike what some people believe. I think she's in a really good spot. I think she has plenty of counterplay, especially with how they've changed the interaction with Drowsy and how it functions, where you can spell shield both the application of it and like the expiration of Drowsy and the application of sleep. You can cleanse out of any part of it. You can QSS out of any part of it. I think that's become a really good change that has made her fine. So I'm fine with a one-hit character who relies on three abilities truly to honestly one-hit you. That being said, yeah, I think the most frustrating aspect of her kit is her W. I don't know if she should have access to active items and summoner spells, but I don't really know how to fix that. Like, I don't know if she should only get summoner spells or if she only should get item actives.
I really do think the main solution is like making it just so she can't get items and actives or summoner spells that aren't in the game.
I mean that's probably the way to do it.
I don't think it's crazy that she should get a Zonia's at level 5 or whatever, right? It's similar to, I hate it so fucking much when Silas gets an ultimate for someone that they don't have their ultimate yet. Like, he goes bottom and fucking steals Alistair ultimate, and Alistair's level 4, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, I think he shouldn't be able to use his ultimate on characters that don't have their ultimates yet. Like, I think it's so crazy to me that he can't do that, and I feel like the Zoe one goes in the same like realm of like, it doesn't really feel fair.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably a good thing that it functions that way. I'm sure they play tested this actually, where
for sure.
It sucks to get ahead as Silas because then you don't have an ultimate until they have an ultimate. But it just makes sense, it just makes sense for it to work that way. But yeah, I don't really know how to fix that. Maybe they have reduced effectiveness, the summoner spells and items she gets. But otherwise I'm fine. I think that's the only thing that's a little frustrating.
Yeah, I really like how her kit functions. I mean, her Q ultimate and E at the very least all have to kind of function the way they do, or else her kit doesn't really flow together. Her W, once again, could be different, I guess, but I also don't think it's nearly as toxic as it used to be.
No, absolutely not. I think it's fine.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk about our final character for the Zed episode, who I actually have a fair bit to talk about, which is Zyra.
Yeah, so the forgotten character, I think, among many. I think she is a character sort of without an in-game identity that functions very well, and a character that I don't. This is one that I truly don't have any idea how to even begin approaching fixing. I think basically the only good parts about her kit are the root and her ultimate, and I think that's it. Her Q is like extremely boring. It's just a line skill shot that doesn't really do anything. I think her ability to plant seeds is kind of boring. And I think the ability to grow plants is kind of frustrating as well, because they either do way too much damage and are impossibly frustrating to play against, or they do nothing, and it's like, what's the point of even having this as my primary like damaging method?
Yeah, for sure. I guess like my main thing that I was thinking about, I've thought about this a lot, mainly because Kennedy plays a lot of Zyra, and I think the main issue with Zyra from a playing perspective is that she's clunky as fuck. There's no way that if Zyra is released in current year, that she would have a cast time on her Q or her E.
Yeah. Like
the fact that you have to stand still to cast Q, stand still to cast E, means every single character in the game with mobility fists you. Like, there's no way you ever hit your E on an assassin, because they just go around you while you're casting it. It's slow as fuck. I think at the very least, she should just have those removed or at least reduced, like no matter what. And then my other issue with Zyra is that I think they somehow need to figure out a way to incorporate her like seedlings, her W, into her other abilities.
Yeah, I think I think I'll let you finish and then go on.
Yeah, I guess like the main thing is I understand they kind of have to be placeable because you need to place them to put where your Q is going to be, or more importantly your E, because you can place them close and then throw your E and it still can stun people far away, but then it creates the plant close to you and stuff. But would it really be that bad if she just casted her Q and then plants spawned in her Q area, or if she casted her E and a slowing plant spawned in the middle of her E? I don't think it really takes that much identity or like skill expression away from her. And I think it just frees up an ability slot that could be used to make a different type of plant, like a more interesting type of plant.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one thing that I think we both can agree on is that her plants need some sort of change. I like the idea of it just spawning some plants and maybe they do a little bit less damage like by themselves. But I also like the maybe then her W changes into like big seed or empowered seed, where then she can plant it and it will have an extra effect. And this is sort of like where I want to guide the conversation, because I think it could be really interesting if we saw her her plants do additional stuff if the enemy gets hit by the ability. So I'm thinking like if you hit a Q and have a seed planted on a champion, so you hit the Q on the champion and it also spawns a plant. Maybe the plants, like have increased range against the champion and will focus it as long as it stays within range. Or maybe the E, if it roots someone, the plant will like wrap some vines around them and draw them in a little bit, with sort of like a rel ultimate, but on a single target if you're able to do it.
Oh, for sure. I completely agree. I think like, yeah, you have two ways of going about it, right? Is like, you can either like, I was thinking about this for her passive and her W as well, right? Like her passive is creating just random seeds around you. There's no world in which if she was released today, that wouldn't just be part of her W passive, right? And then she'd have an actual passive. Like maybe if she died, she'd turn into a big plant and shoot a skill shot or something.
No, that's ridiculous.
But and like why wouldn't her W in theory could be a good ability by itself, right? Like it does give vision, but it gives vision in like a fucking little needle-sized point. Why not just give her W vision in bushes? Like you put a plant in a bush and it's like a sapling type of vision. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like it needs something. She needs anything. It's either you do a mini rework where give her a new passive and give her W, move her passive to her W and give her W like better vision for like the actual seeds, or you just completely wipe out her W, put the plant spawning on her Q and her E, and give her like a mega seed, give her another plant type, anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some sort of empowered seed, something like she definitely feels like a character that is just incomplete, I think is the best way to describe her. She's not done yet, and
could she be a Lowy too?
Could she, I honestly thought about like, what if we just completely remove her controlling the plants and make it something that like she and the enemy have to play around both. I don't know. So that sounds interesting.
Because if you were to make her an Alawi clone, which I know a lot of people are
Whoa,
like,
nice.
please God, no. No, you could make it so that her seeds still spawn randomly, and if you throw your plants on them, they have like they're stronger, right? Because now they're random. You have to play them around them yourself. Or if you hit your Q, it spawns seeds near someone, so then you can throw your E and then it'd be the plant. Or if you hit your E, it's gonna spawn like two plants in like a position where like your Q would hit and spawn two plants. Like you could have it so like it's passive and you have to play around it, so now it can be a stronger part of her kit and the enemy has to play around it, but you have zero control over it. But when you throw your abilities, it like sets them up for you to like combo into, and I feel like that's also a good way of doing it. Like could you imagine hitting your E and it spawns two little like seeds beside them while they're stunned, so you can now throw your Q on top of it and spawn two plants,
I think
like,
that
on the side
that turns her more into a combo mage versus a character that just pokes,
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I feel like that would be a really interesting way, which I know no one in the world, if I titled this episode, turning Zyra into an Alawi clone, people would want to die.
Yeah.
But
I think it makes
like,
sense within the context of its character.
Core, yeah. I don't think that's awful by any means.
No, I don't think so either. And I think then you can really balance the, like, you have to kill her plants or else she is going to kill you, because like invasive species like are incredibly difficult to deal with. Like plants left unchecked will just like completely fuck anything, and I think that's a really like cool thing to lean into.
But they stay on the map forever, like when they're like their buds or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
they're all one hit things, like, and like obviously Alawi's are one hit things when she's not around or whatever. But like her things are always one hit. But like I don't know, man. If you're not fucking clearing her shit as it spawns, eventually you're gonna have a fight around that area.
Yeah,
and it's just gonna fuck you because she has so many plants.
And maybe that's a really annoying mini game. But then it starts to lean into like, oh, it's a combination of Alawi and Teemo, right? It's sort of the same idea where like you can't do an objective that Teemo is set up for. You know, you can't do an objective in this scenario that Zyra has set up for. You're gonna have to find other ways to accelerate the game and do other things. And I think that's a really, really cool thing to work towards. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives her like definitely more of a like she is an early game character in the fact that if you start snowballing early, you like
the game's
plants
over.
are slowly going to invade into their jungle. Yeah. Whereas like if you don't have early game priority, then you have way less jungle where like you have way less area in which your seeds are going to populate across the map and stuff. It's cool. I really like that actually.
Can I like I just am thinking like, what if it's sort of reverse Bard, where Bard has to roam the map collecting things to empower himself, but what if Zyra has to roam the map to leave things to empower herself? Like, what if she could leave the seeds, and if they survive long enough, then they become those buds that you were talking about that you know are going to be an effort to remove. You know, it's going to be difficult to get those out because Zyra's lasted long enough to like to leave it there. You know, to get it enrooted.
Dude, you could have it so that her W is like a 10 charge system of like globally planting buds. Buds give 0 vision, by the way, in this scenario.
Yeah.
But like these buds eventually become like little mini seeds or whatever that like can actually be used. Like they can grow and like have plants spawn off them and all this other stuff. And like that's kind of cool, man, where you have this mini game where you're constantly like placing stuff for the future based on the game
state. What if eventually, I mean, they could grow into, you know, vision. Like eventually you could get vision, and ideally you'd want to put it in really popular spots that they would travel through, but you know, it comes with the cost of them being able to kill it. And that would definitely lean into the support role even more, which I'm fine with. If we want to make her a support like permanently, which, let's be honest, she's not seeing solo lane play, I think that's really cool.
You could even have little things like I know you hate plants overall in the game, but like what if like her buds, if you planted her bud where like a scrying orb would normally spawn, it would like speed up the respawn
that's really
time
cool.
of a scrying orb. Like when it comes to like when it like germinates, I guess is the word. Dude, this is kind of cool. Like there'd be so much like intricate play of her, and she'd just be like a very interesting character that you kind of have to like understand way more than just like pick up and play. Yeah,
she's definitely not like plant seeds, use abilities near, and then like that's it. Hit an ultimate and then that's it.
Like you said, you know the fact it's going to be around dragons, so you like seed the scrying area, so like the scrying orb's going to be up for your team to clear vision. Like that's so.
But
cool.
The enemies also know and can be able to you know, do it.
Yeah, I think that's so fucking interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. That's really cool.
Pog, and that is Zyra, I guess, which I guess leads us to the end of the episode, which I know is a little bit of a shorter one, but I think we had a lot of fun discussion this time.
Yeah, I think so too. Zyra is definitely one of our most interesting, I think, ever. Yeah, so we mentioned this on the show that we just recorded, but we've finished with the champions. That's really exciting, but we aren't finished with ZED Talks quite yet. We are going to be kind of doing a champion roundup next month, January. We're going to talk about all the characters that have released in the past year. So Gwen, Action. I can't remember if Viego was this year or not. But the characters that came out this year, and we'll fix them. We'll make them playable and not 2021 champions. So yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. Thank you guys for sticking with us for so long. That's awesome. that we made it all the way to the
we'll
end.
be back in 2022 with even better content. So,
All right. Bye.
GG's. Bye.